What's up, everyone? It's Brittany, and welcome to One Hot Mess. Today, we are going to continue reading the Self-Discovery book, and we are on the section about thoughts, beliefs, knowings, attitudes, and patterning. People are more than their thoughts. They are the creators of their thoughts, either consciously or unconsciously. These thoughts resonate with specific belief systems that an individual has created consciously or unconsciously. At some point, the individual decides what types of thoughts or belief systems they are going to accept as their own and what their soul memory brought into this lifetime for them to resolve. Beliefs and thoughts can be synonymous. Typically, they are separate. Beliefs are at a much deeper level than thoughts, and thoughts are a result of belief systems. We create beliefs in order to define the world around us. Once we have formed these beliefs, we find ways to support them. In creating thoughts and beliefs, we lose the so-called innocence of a child, making it very difficult to live in the present moment. Thoughts, attitudes, behaviors, and beliefs are the root causes of much of your unhappiness and illness. In truth, judgment is the root source of all pain. Once you make a judgment about anything, whatever is judged becomes limited, and so does your experience. If you are able to cease judgment, you will find that you no longer live in the world of thoughts, but of awareness, which is very different. This allows you to be in the present moment at all times and experience rather than have to suffer and judge. As human beings, we tend to define ourselves and determine our actions by thoughts, then judge these thoughts based on the actions we have taken. On another level, we judge ourselves by the way we appear, but we are not our thoughts or behaviors. We select them deliberately or not. Every thought has a frequency that then resonates with like frequencies. It is the same for beliefs, knowings, and attitudes. These frequencies form a patterning in your energy field. The combination of different thoughts and their vibratory rate creates even more unique patterns. These are interwoven into your energy field. This combination makes life very complex and forms a matrix in your energy field, which vibrates in harmony with other matrices. The more often you have a thought, the more likely it is going to be long-lasting or form belief systems. The more it is repeated, the stronger the energetic patterning becomes, and the stronger the pathway in your brain vibrates. Then there's a greater possibility that they will become indelible and contribute to either a current belief system or a projection onto your reality that you experience as real. Part of the difficulty in changing thoughts is that there is a multitude of interwoven patterns that all support each other. They are being given so much energy in strengthening their pathways that it makes them very powerful, almost hypnotic in nature. A thought that has turned into a belief or is accompanied by a belief is even more difficult to change. Thoughts are most often driven by beliefs, creating energy patterns that are measurable and can be seen and felt. These are commonly called thought forms because the energy pattern itself forms an experience that the sensate body can feel and interpret. All your thoughts have frequencies, and all these frequencies interweave and connect with everything you are as a human. They form the foundation of your personality and ego structure, and at the core of those are your belief systems or inner knowings. All of your thoughts are drawn from a pool of existing thoughts in the universe. All thoughts that have ever been or ever will be exist in this energy pool. And when you vibrate at a certain frequency, you have access to those thoughts. It is difficult or impossible for anyone to access thoughts at a higher realm of frequency than the one they are currently vibrating at. All the thoughts you have ever had are accessed and recorded in your soul memory. To access thoughts and belong to a certain frequency or vibrational pull, you must have beliefs or knowings of a similar frequency. We call those pulls energetic fields of influence. You won't have thoughts unless you have a belief system that connects you to that energy field. Random thoughts are not necessarily random. They have a vibrational frequency that resonates with thoughts of similar frequencies, thoughts you may not have had yourself or that seem to come flying through your mind because they vibrate at the same rate of frequency as your energy field. They may be random to your human consciousness, but they are absolutely not random to your state of consciousness or vibrational frequency. Over time, you learn to become thoughtless, not in the human sense, where you take advantage of others or only think about yourself, but in the state of neutrality. In thoughtlessness, you can visit any state of consciousness without maintaining it as a thought or attaching it to a belief system. In its higher state, thoughtlessness is pure awareness, where you are connected to your inner divinity and are aware of everything. You don't have thoughts, you have awareness. Thoughts and awareness are two different things. People often confuse them or believe that in order to have an awareness, you must have a thought. Pure consciousness is the state of no thought. Beliefs, the basics. Your beliefs are what you assume to be true. The core belief of all humans is, I believe what I believe, and or I believe what I perceive is real. Along with that is the core belief, I am human. This is actually a belief system or a perception, even though you are in human form. You are something far greater than the limited human being. Everything in your mind is based on a belief. Beliefs are, for the most part, illogical. The more illogical they are, the more guarded they tend to be. Most beliefs are emotionally based and energetically charged. The charge gives them their strength. Emotion gives them their validity. Thoughts are acquired through belief systems that an individual has created. They have decided to accept them as their own and or have brought many of these from their soul memory into this lifetime to work through lessons or completions in this life experience. It is not the belief itself, but the attachment to the belief that makes it yours. Beliefs are neutral unless you attach to them. This happens in a split second. When you make the belief yours, it allows you to unconsciously run in your life on autopilot. Your belief that the beliefs are real is what makes them your reality. Imagine that each belief is a filter. Every time you look through it, you see things in the color of the filter. Now imagine that you're looking through multiple beliefs at the same time. The vision is distorted or deeply colored. When you change the lens, so to speak, you begin to see the world more clearly or differently, depending on whether you have eliminated the filters or simply switched to another. Once you have accepted beliefs, the world is always colored by them. This happens in a split second without conscious choice, and they become lifelong companions until you decide to change them. When you are unhappy with your life, the main cause is your belief system and the way you see the world. By changing your beliefs, you change your reality. This is not the same as changing your thoughts. Positive thinking does not work. It never will and never can. Positive thinking is only one part of the polarity of positive and negative. When you attempt to focus only on the positive, the negative aspects of the energy fields related to that type of thinking will eventually come through. They cannot be eliminated by ignoring them. This is like looking at a building then, because you decided to look in another direction, assuming the building disappeared. Obviously, this isn't so. This is simply a law of physics. This is not something that we have just made up. In this world, you live in a polarized existence. There is positive and negative. You cannot ignore the negative, nor make it disappear by simply focusing on the positive. This will sound quite distressing if you've been trying to focus on the positive. We understand that this was a good intent, but it is not actually possible. In reality, your beliefs are not your beliefs. They are not your reality. They are a creation by you. You are the creator of them. They do not take you over. They do not assimilate into your body or consciousness. You allow them to be there, whether you are conscious of that or not. Becoming a conscious observer gives you the ability to detach from your beliefs for a moment, to decide which serve you and which don't. After a while, you can become the decider of behaviors and actions that were once based upon beliefs, but are now simply actions that you choose to interact with within the world. This means you are no longer locked into your beliefs. You are a conscious creator using activities and behaviors that allow you to experience the world as you so choose. It has been scientifically shown that thoughts are energy and actually have weight. By changing your beliefs, you change the neurological weight in your brain. In doing this, you will automatically change your thoughts. This changes the chemical balance in your body and brain, thus changing the way you feel, see, and experience the world. Beliefs are the foundation of thoughts, the ultimate resonance that attracts the pull of thoughts to your availability. Beliefs are the core of the way that you experience the world. Imagine that your consciousness is a hot air balloon. All your beliefs are sandbags, and your consciousness wants to rise. What you must do to allow your consciousness to rise, the rising balloon is equal to the raising of your frequencies and your consciousness to a higher vibration. The more belief systems you can get rid of, the more weight you are dropping. This allows your hot air balloon to rise. The more of them you release, the quicker you rise. If you do it too fast, it can be a bit too much. You go to a very high altitude where the oxygen is thinner and it takes you a while to reestablish your stability. Sometimes people attempt to become too conscious too quickly. They push past what their inner guidance is telling them, and this can often disrupt their human life and experience. Doing it in a way that feels right, using your intuition in this case, allows you to gradually move through this process without all the trauma some people go through. You direct how quickly you go through this process. Even though your conscious awareness is not the sole director, it can request that your changing consciousness is done easily, smoothly, painlessly, and as quickly as possible, allowing you to maintain a pleasant transition. Even though these transitions are relatively pleasant, there are times when the ego, personality, will not think it's pleasant at all, no matter how smoothly it's going. If you take the sandbags off, meaning you release old beliefs, it allows your consciousness to rise. This puts you in a greater state of awareness, and you can choose how you want to live rather than be governed by belief systems. Taking off the sandbags is absolutely a choice. There is no race, there is no competition. Everyone gets there in their own time. You can remain in these pattern beliefs that you have assumed to be true, or you can seek some sort of awareness about what the absolute truth is for you, not the relative truth you've been living in up to this point. Beliefs come from your own experience, either from this lifetime or another. They are an unquestioned acceptance of what other people say or do. You have assumed these things to be true. The actual definition of a belief is an assumed truth. The majority of beliefs are usually created at a very young age. By the age of 6, you have approximately 90% of your belief system established. New beliefs are usually created as a result of a perceived traumatic event or very intense experiences. Belief systems are designed perfectly in order to sustain themselves in your way of life. This was to assist early humans who are less conscious to survive. You are beyond the survival lifestyle, and consciousness is your greatest advantage. If you have a belief system that says you are not good enough, your unconscious will create situations for you to read and interpret that you are not good enough. Some people call it sabotaging behavior. There is no such thing. Sabotage is a word used by those viewing it from the outside, judging the behavior and not understanding the energetic patterning. They are doing the best they can, but the truth is that creating situations where you feel not good enough is perfection at its peak. It is a pattern operating flawlessly, creating exactly what you believe. Simply changing behaviors does not change the beliefs. The patterns are modified but never eliminated. We tend to attract people who are like us are people who are polar opposite in order to sustain that belief system. Those at the same vibrational frequency hang out together. Look around your environment at the people you call friends and family. See the way they believe the world to be and know that they are, at some level, a reflection of your own belief system. When you see this, do not judge them, but say, what have you come to show me about myself? When you find yourself irritated with people, you should know that they are merely reflecting your belief system to you. Whatever irritates you is always all about you. It is always, without fail, connected to something that you have judged and either still do or have ceased to do, but still have a belief system about. The world is always all about you. Everything you see reflects you to you, including the beauty of life. When you see beautiful things, nature, art, music, whatever it might be, know that at some level, it too is a reflection of you. If you are having a negative experience, it is because at some level, the vibratory rate in your energy field is in the same frequency. Changing you changes your external experience. This makes you a creator versus a victim. As always, take this information for what it is worth. If it resonates, use it. If not, by all means, discard it. Your experience is all about you and the choice is yours. Will you be an awakened being creating your life, or will you be subject to belief systems that you have no idea exist? Remember, consciousness cures everything. Question everything. At this point, some of you may be thinking that some of this makes sense and some of it is insane. Anything new that is out of one's realm of possibilities does sound insane. Do your research, check the laws of physics, and begin to understand them. Check the professionals doing research on brain studies and belief systems. There are quite a few emerging these days. There is plenty of information on this. At the same time, there are plenty of people who take it to the extreme and are way out there, getting too cosmic. Do your research, but most of all, feel your intuition. This is the key to it all. Does it feel right? Does it make sense? You must learn to differentiate between your intuition and the fears of your ego or personality. At times, we talk about the ego personality like it's a separate entity. And in many ways, it is. It is a separate program that is not necessarily attuned to your consciousness, that source within you, your inner awareness. It is common as you go through this process to question things, question everything. Do not doubt or reject everything, but question it. Questioning everything means to investigate, to find out, to get the facts and do your research. Check every avenue possible. Do not limit your resources to the traditionally known methods. They are often inaccurate and limited. It is like anything else that has changed in the past. At one time, people didn't believe you could fly. No one could even imagine a motor vehicle or electricity before they were invented. The list goes on and on. When you are in these stages of questioning, ask yourself, is it doubt I am feeling, or is it fear? Or is it the logical, reasonable process of questioning and investigating for my own satisfaction? Never take anyone as your authority. Listen to no one until you have discerned if it is right for you. We cannot emphasize this enough. It is too easy to become a follower and hand your consciousness over to those who know you just haven't remembered it yet. And this is all about you remembering. Become your own authority. Do not be a follower or allow others to intimidate, bribe, or con you into following them. Please, whatever you do, don't make this course your authority. Use it as information that will assist you in creating and then become your own authority. Question everything, especially that which you do not usually question or which you have assumed to be true, for within lie great discoveries. This is all about your life, your experience, your authority, and your joy. Make life what you want. Don't live life as you have been given it. A free individual has choice. All right, the last little section here of chapter 3 is human processes. Notice that what I am saying is use the processes. Not be the processes, not live the processes. Know how to use them. Imagine the processes are tools. They are like shovels, rakes, hammers, brooms, or dry rags. You pick them up whenever you need to use them, and you use them for what you want to use them for. You are not used by the tools. And there is a conflict about this. People think if I use the processes, they're going to use me. Or it's almost like a rebellion. That process is an authority and I am not going to use it. I am going to do it my own way. Well, sometimes you can do it your own way, but it's usually a modified version of the process. It really is not your own way because there happens to be certain rules and the limitations that you live in this moment. Because of that, you still have to modify the rules. You are not generally really creating your own new rules. You can't just get a car out of nowhere without buying it or getting it from someone. Processes have to be used to get you a car at some level, so you can't ditch the processes. You have to use them like tools, and you must not see them as an authority to ignore or rebel against. You must realize that they are simply tools. It is only your attitude toward the tools that creates difficulties, challenges, or the decision to not use them. Your judgment of the processes belittles, negates, or sees them as useless, and then you don't get the opportunity to use them. I think what happens to a lot of us, besides our authority problem, is that the processes seem like they take too long. It seems like they are too hard. It seems like they are needless. Why would you have to do it that way? Some people think. In some cases, this is accurate. Now, because at some level, you also remember coming from the other place. The non physical, you remember that it doesn't take that long. You also remember that you can just make things appear out of nowhere. But the problem, for the most part, and most people, is that they can't do that in the physical world. They could do it in the etheric world. They could do it even in the non etheric and less physical worlds, but it is a whole different mastery to do it in the physical realm at this level of destiny. And so that gets confused. Oh, yeah, I remember somewhere in me that I can make these things just appear in the middle of nowhere, but I am in the earth world and things don't work like that here. So there are different rules and different processes, at least this time. Now we are at an age in time where there will be some of us who will be able to do this. For right now, you are mixing all these beliefs and memories, the potentials that are currently coming into existence, and then the rules or the way it is in the reality in which you live or perceive you live. They are all mixed up. So you get a little stubborn and ignore what needs to be done at the moment until things or you change. There is some truth to what you are saying when you rebel, yet there is a misunderstanding in a lot of what you're doing, not using the processes and knowing them through and through. You don't need to know every process. You just need to know the ones that are relevant to you at that time. You might need to know the law process or the house building process, but you don't need to know gardening or hairstyling. So you just learn the ones you need. Explanation is so important to everyone, not for a mental groping or mental purpose, but the mental is a key to the understanding or linking it all together. Once there is an understanding of why the processes work and why you need to use them, then it all makes sense. And then it is reasonable to use them. But otherwise, without that understanding, they are just meaningless processes that you can see no purpose in, so you ignore them totally. Personal responsibility. Personal responsibility, as most people are trained as children, is something that is to be avoided. For example, you are going to get in trouble if you don't do something right. That is not at all what we are talking about. Personal responsibility is a concept that you are a creator and personally responsible for your creations. Some of you will not believe what we are about to say, but we assure you that when you finally awaken to the next level of awareness, you will see that these are in fact true. You create all of your experiences, not from your human existence or your conscious awareness, but the inner you, your soul spirit, and your human experience altogether. When you recognize this, it takes personal responsibility to a whole new level. Some of you might ask, what about the terrible things that have happened to me in my life? Those terrible things had greater meaning than you can begin to conceive of at this time. For those of you who can give us the latitude about speaking in regard to other life experiences or soul memory, we would say that your soul has required certain experiences for you in this life. Please don't argue this in your head. Just listen to the information and take it as it is. There is so much value to many of the things that we have to say here. You would slight yourself of that other information if you didn't at least listen to these concepts. As the creator of all things in your life at some level, either consciously or unconsciously, you have decided to take actions, use assumed beliefs, or respond in the ways that you have. This doesn't mean that you sat down and thought, how can I make this day really terrible and have a terrible experience with my partner or friends? That is not the kind of creation we are talking about. At a soul level, if there is a need for an experience to resolve or understand some type of pain, or if at an unconscious level there is a pattern running saying that relationships are difficult and never work out, you are simply playing out those programs. Some would call this destiny. But we would say that these are creations from the unconscious. When you become conscious, there is actual conscious direction and integration of what your soul spirit wants, as well as your human body. At some point, you are no longer a victim to gods in the sky or the invisible world. You are actually of all of them. You are a god, and you get to use all of the skills on your soul spirit level and your human level. This is why it is extremely important for you to master being human, hence the course name, Human Mastery. If you master your human experience, you will become a highly functional divine human being. When you integrate your soul spirit, you become an actual creator, divine human being. This is a completely different experience than most people have ever known. We are introducing possibilities that may not be familiar or even in the collective consciousness at this time. When we say that you create everything, we mean you create everything, whether again it is unconsciously from soul spirit or unconsciously from your programming, or whether it is through your conscious awareness. You create everything. This is difficult to accept because it does not appear that way, but things are not as they appear. You are limited in your consciousness, therefore, please leave leeway for something else to exist in order for you to master your personal responsibility. The only one you are responsible for in life is you, hence personal responsibility as opposed to responsibility for others. We would contradict many common belief systems which say you are responsible for other people. You are only responsible for yourself, your choices, your responses, and your creations. It is up to each individual to be personally responsible for themselves. In working toward a state of sovereignty, you must master personal responsibility. There can be no blame, only ownership of your experiences. Do not limit yourself by saying you are responsible for how other people feel. I'm sure you've heard people say, so and so made me feel really bad. The truth is, no one can make you feel any way. You perceive meaning, determine your response, and feel the way that you do. You have full control over what responses you are going to give. As long as you are in an unconscious patterning, however, it is quite difficult to be in control of your decisions. Awakening your consciousness to be able to see these possibilities is the first step to your freedom from these limitations. Remember, it is always about you. Now, in knowing that you are the creator of all your experiences, you must understand that these were simply experiences and ultimately only judged by you. You determined that they were good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. When people are going through the process of awakening, they see what they have done and judge it and say, I've been a bad person, I've done wrong. From the human perspective, this may be so, but remember, this is from the perspective of judgment and limitation. This is not full conscious awareness, understanding the greater picture of your existence. People see what has happened and get lost in their judgments, continually abusing themselves. This serves no purpose. It never gets anyone anywhere. If it did, everyone would be healed by now. At some point, you were not conscious. You thought you were, but you were not an awakened consciousness. You allowed those patterns to run. They were not you. It is not your fault. It would be different if you were consciously doing things that you knew were causing harm or were not loving, and you knew the greater picture's repercussions. That's different than living in patterns that seemed conscious but were not. Understand that now that you are awakening, what you do and what you choose has a completely different meaning. Don't judge yourself for having patterns and running on autopilot. This is a common human behavior. It's part of growing up as a human being. It's part of understanding the experience of being human. It's a natural course of events. That's all. Please don't make a mountain out of a molehill, but recognize that now that you are becoming conscious, you can see the patterns and how they don't work for you. Simply taking this course is the beginning of your awakening. Welcome to your new life. It begins now. All right, so for those of you who are interested, there is this last section of the chapter, Journal to Self-Discovery, the Human Model of the World. There's some questions, and I'll read them if you'd like. You can pause and answer them if you would like to do this part. Okay, so when do you feel stuck in a loop that never changes? What beliefs may be feeding this? Circles of influence. Who were/are the most influential persons for you within each circle? Psychic etiquette. Do you give yourself away to get what you need? If so, why? What do you believe you receive? Do you become frustrated if others don't give you what you need after you have given yourself away? Are you a giver or a taker? Feel when and where your energy is out and when it is 3 to 6 inches from your body. Feel when you are spread out in someone else's energy field, physically projecting your energy into their field. Practice keeping your energy close to your body. What do you notice when you do this and when you don't? Psychic sponge and precognitive belief formation. Who or what are you attached to and why? What benefit does your attachment serve your ego personality? Developing the identity. Have you experienced any illnesses and looking back, now realize the wisdom you gained? Are you selfish? Why or why not? Which selfish are you? Self-care or self-centered? Observing, mimicking, modifying, and creating. Were you the observer, mimicker, modifier, creator? Thoughts, beliefs, knowings, attitudes, and patterning. What thoughts do you continually think? What beliefs are connected to these thoughts? Constant thoughts about what things cost equals a belief that you don't have enough or will never have enough. Beliefs, the basics. What are the core benefits of humanity? What is not working in your life? What beliefs do you have about these? Who irritates you or who do you have difficulties with? What is it that bothers you about them? Look at friends and family. What can you learn about yourself by looking at them? Question everything. What things do you question? What things have you never questioned? Personal responsibility. Do you feel responsible for others? If so, why? Do you feel others are responsible for you or your reactions and decisions? If so, who and why? What things have you done that you judge as bad or wrong? And that is that, guys. That is chapter 3. Next time we'll continue chapter 4, human skills and the identity. All right, y'all, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Please make sure to hit that follow button and share one hot mess with a friend. And I will talk to you guys next time.